I ended up getting up like 400 pounds or so. I was just like, oh man, I got to 400 pounds. I've been working so hard at this. And he's like, outstanding. And he wasn't trying to show me up, but he had walked over there like it was starting to roll away. He had walked over there with one hand.
Welcome back to the SwaySide Connection podcast. On today's episode, who do we have here with us today?
Karl Long, class of 1998.
Class of 1998. Speaking of, just got these in. What size shirt do you wear, Karl?
Well, I'm an XL. That's nice. I like that.
These are an XL, so I'll have what I have Janet made these, and then she made a couple extra XLs for me to give out. So like I literally she sent this 2 months ago. And then it went to Maryland, and then it came to American Samoa, and it was in American Samoa for like 3 weeks. And I finally got these like 2 days ago. So, and then in the note, she said that she has a few extra that if I wanted to give away for guests that come on the show, dude, it like worked out like you were meant to have one of these.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate it. I'll wear it proudly. Perfect.
It's so funny. I didn't even tell you, but you were like, yeah, class of 1998. So it's just like, man, representing.
Had a sense.
What you sipping on over there, Karl?
I don't even know what I would call this. Some Topo Chico sparkling water with maybe a little bit of lime in there.
Topo Chico sparkling water, no alcohol.
No alcohol in it.
Topo
just something
Chico's
refreshing. It's going to hit up about 90 degrees today, so I got to try to stay hydrated. Topo
Chicos are my favorite sparkling seltzer. Like those are one of my favorites. Yeah, because they have they sell a 4-pack. It's like mango and then like pineapple, and those are good. Have you ever had those?
Yeah. Actually, I was kind of torn between getting the plain version here, the lime, or the tangerine. I ended up just going plain for probably a really, really odd reason. I love my scrambled eggs first thing in the morning, and you put some Topo Chico in there, and you go ahead and blend them up instead of putting like say a cream or some tap water.
Yeah,
and it actually fluffs them up, gives you really fluffy scrambled eggs.
Really?
So yeah.
Dude, that's crazy. When it comes to sparkling waters, though, that's probably the one thing, because I used to be a heavy soda drinker. Like I used to drink soda like no other, like pop them like Tic Tacs. But now I do that now with sparkling waters, and like I love all of them. And I feel like I've tried most of them, but there's always like these new businesses, companies that'll start, and then I haven't maybe tried some of those. But do you have any favorites when it comes to stuff like that?
Any favorites? So, I mean, the Topo Chico for sure. That's right up there for me. The Liquid Death brand.
Yes.
They've got some very, very good waters. Their Dr. Pepper, I'm sure they've got their own proprietary name, and their cola versions are very, very good.
Wait, Dr. Pepper, they make sparkling water now?
Dr. Pepper doesn't make sparkling water, but Liquid Death, they've got their own version. You know how they have like Mr. Pibb that tastes like Dr. Pepper?
Yes, Liquid Death has and so is it sugar-free? They have like a sugar-free...
they're pretty sugar reduced.
Wow. They have like a Dr. Pepper, basically. Oh, wow. Liquid Death.
Yeah. They've got a Dr. Pepper one, which is pretty good with vodka, and then the cola one, of course. You got Captain's and Coke right there, and it's a little bit of a different take on it, a little bit less sugar, and we're not the youngest, so it works out well.
Yeah, no, dude, that's amazing. I love Liquid Death. I feel like their drinks are all amazing, and their marketing is obviously kind of crazy. Obviously, when you say Liquid Death, it's kind of like a thing. So, no, man, that's awesome.
It definitely catches your attention. Yeah, at the fire station, we've actually transitioned from drinking sodas or energy drinks to actually having the sparkling waters. I mean, it's something a little bit nicer than just normal tap water, but it becomes more of a social thing. Like I don't know, like going out to the bar with friends after kind of a thing. What's that?
It's guilt-free, because I mean, if you have too many sodas, the same way like even if you have too many beers or mixed drinks or whatever. I mean, that's just trouble for your health. But like, man, you could binge, you can have and I'm not playing, I could easily have 10 sparkling waters a day, you know what I mean? And yeah, because like I said, I think it's because I know they're guilt free. And then, man, if I have one real thirsty moment, I could just kill a whole can, except for those liquid death ones because they're usually a little bit bigger. But like a regular, what is that? Like a 12-ounce can or whatever. Man, I'll kill those in one shot almost every time. Man, I wanted to say my favorite brand, and I just kind of brain farted of I see the picture of what they look like in my head, but I forgot the name of them. But they're Waterloo. Have you ever tried
Yeah,
those?
I have tried those. They've got some pretty good flavors too.
Those are my favorite. Waterloo. I feel like their flavor, granted, this has zero sugar, nothing, but they somehow, I'll just go on a random. What's amazing about sparkling water is how there's no sugar, but Waterloo somehow makes it very flavorful. So you can taste the flavor, and usually flavor is attached to sugar, but it's so weird because there's no sugar, but yeah, it's still flavorful. So it's kind of like this weird mind thing that just blows my mind. That's why I like them a lot, just because I'm like, oh damn, you can really taste the flavor on these. But
Yeah, it's
I'm
counterintuitive.
1,000, yes. But I'm kind of like a crack fiend to the point where you said you got plain. Like I could drink plain too. Like as long as it's cold, I could drink any type of sparkling water now.
I've never tried it warmed up. That might be liquid death right there.
I could drink it warm. I don't That's how much I like sparkling water. I don't. I definitely prefer not to drink it warm. I could drink it warm now, but it's before, like when I used to drink soda, I used to hate sparkling water because it felt like something was missing for sure. So, but now I'm a sparkling water fiend. It's probably one of those things where, and I rarely see it out here anymore. But when I see it, I go kind of crazy over it. So, anyways,
Nice.
yeah, nah, man. So yeah, how did you hear about this podcast, by the way, that you're now on?
It was kind of random. Like I am on Facebook. I do probably spend an unhealthy amount of time on there. And well, it was Janet McKenzie, Janet Wickman. I think her last name might be now.
Yeah,
Anyhow,
she's the
she
one that
came
made
up on the
these.
feed, and
These are Janet's. Yeah,
yeah,
she's
yeah,
the one
yeah.
that
No,
sent
I'm
these.
tracking
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Yeah. So she something came up on the feed, and it was her. I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of weird, and that looks like Heinz there, kind of in the corner. So I clicked on it and I watched it, and I was like, oh wow, this is a really good idea. It's been a while since we've been in school. So, I just started watching there, and I've got a really long commute every day to work. So I just go ahead and throw on like a podcast or YouTube videos or audiobook, just something. And I would just start listening to them. And yeah, I came across Ralph. And yeah, I
He
think I've
called you
watched
out. He called you out
like
right when
30
the
episodes
episode
already.
started.
What's that?
I said Ralph called you out right in the beginning when his episode started. I was like, damn.
Yeah, yeah. You know what? Actually, I'm super glad that you brought that up because I got to clear that up. I mean, what he said was absolutely true in the moment, but it's actually progressed since there. Yeah. So
That's
yeah, I don't
hilarious.
know if it's a surprise to anybody, but yeah, I had some social anxiety when I was in high school, and the oral presentations that we would have to give, especially with the classes that I took, they were kind of a thing. They made me nervous. And I thought that nervousness is what made me have the upset stomach and then have to go off to the bathroom beforehand. And as I grew older, I realized that it was not necessarily that. I still had the social anxiety, but I was a very good procrastinator. And if I had a report, I would wait until the last day and I would stay up until 4 o'clock in the morning or not sleep at all. And that's actually what would cause a lot of that stomach to be upset. I didn't realize that until I was in the fire service when we would start spending all night running calls, and I would start having the same type of feeling. But there was actually a little bonus lesson that I got from that. Somewhere along the line, I decided to shave my head. And I found out, I had a captain call me out on this. He said, Karl, I can tell when you haven't slept in a while because your head gets really shiny. So not only do I get the upset stomach, but whatever my pores are doing, they just go crazy if I haven't slept and I get a real shiny head.
Wow.
So yeah, our bodies are interesting machines.
Now, did you ever get nervous before? Because Karl, we played football together. We were kind of chatting before we pushed record. Did you ever get nervous before football games? I did. I used to get super
More or
nervous.
less. I wouldn't get that type of nervous. I mean, even in the other sports that I played where it was just me alone, like during track or wrestling or weightlifting, I wouldn't get that kind of nervous. When I would get nervous, speaking would be harder. Like forming coherent sentences would be harder, but actually doing something with my hands or like physical activities, that all came pretty easy. And growing up in Spanaway and playing football, out in the neighborhood, or baseball or tennis or whatever we were doing, there were fun things that I would do just to pretend that I was like on Friday Night Lights, or like in the center of a full stadium, just to try to give me that type of anxiety so I could perform if needed to. So by the time we actually went out there and played football, or I was on the wrestling mat, it kind of felt like old hat.
Wow, that's amazing that you had that muscle in your brain to do that back then. Because I think that helps. Because me, I was kind of nervous every game. Like, you compare the two different levels, like, to me, they were like the same thing. Like, me speaking in front of people was also the same feeling. Like, I would, even if I just peed, like right before the last time we were set to go out, I was always like, I had one anxiety piss ready to go. Literally every game, no fail. Like, and then once I got that out, and then once we ran out there, I'd be all good. But it's weird. I would have this weird nervousness that just wouldn't go away. And it happened pretty much like the whole time I played. But like, yeah, I don't know. It's weird. It's kind of weird to explain it, but like that I always had like one last anxiety thing to go, and then I would just kind of like, yeah. And then once we got out there, and then it finally went
Well,
away. But
there's a lot of freedom in that. I mean, if you knew and you expected it to happen before every game, it's just part of the process. You take your last second piss,
yes,
and then you go out there and you perform really well. Well, all of a sudden, in order to go out there and perform well, you got to have that last second piss.
and like
So
the
it's just
way
something that you rely on at that point, maybe.
exactly, because the way it was set up, it was like, right, like special teams people would go out, and then the rest of the team would go out, and then we would like warm up, and then like do stretches and stuff. And then every time we would come back to the locker room one last time, and then we would go back out for something like that. So it was kind of like, I don't know, it was just kind of like the way everything was set up, it was set up perfect for me to have one last so
It's
yeah,
almost like you weren't the only one, right?
yeah, no, for real. So that's why it was kind of funny that just one of those random things that I remember. And it just like kind of helps me. It's kind of like how I wear sunglasses on every episode. Like, now I probably don't need them now, but it's just kind of like, it's kind of like part of a signature of this podcast that I do. And so it's just like, now I just kind of leave them on. But like before, like the very first episodes, I was really nervous to be on camera. And then I felt like wearing glasses was like a good way to kind of like hide behind something. Now it's like I pretty much don't need them as much anymore. But I'm like, I just kind of like have like this streak going where I'm wearing them in every episode. So I'm like, I might as well just leave them. It's kind of like the same version of like the, last minute piss before going out into the thing. It's just kind of like, once I know like all these things are kind of like in place, then it allows me to just be relaxed and perform or whatever. So,
Hey,
yeah.
preparation is key. And I don't know, it's kind of a branding thing at this point. I like them.
Hey, thank you. Yeah, so it's funny because like I'll probably do other videos where I'm not wearing glasses, but it's just like, at least for the podcast, it's like, let's leave them on for right now. And so, but yeah, so Yeah,
I
man.
don't
So
remember seeing the orange at all. Do you have like a whole variety of glasses that you've been wearing, or has it just been the same pair the entire time?
no, I do have a variety. I have like orange, and then like I have like blue. I have like a green, a red. Yeah, I kind of try to switch them up every now and then, like because I used to wear hats a lot, but like it's so hot here that I never wear hats because like I like wool hats, like, like new era baseball caps, like fitted ones. I used to wear those all the time, but like it's literally way too hot to kind of wear them here. So I left all of them they're all at my cousin's house in New Zealand. Like
Okay,
I have a bag of luggage there basically with like basically all my winter clothes and stuff. So
right.
but I love accessories. So because they're not there, like I can't wear hats. But because I love accessories, I'm like, okay, well, I do have all these sunglasses, and so I could just kind of that's one way I could sort of switch them up. And so yeah,
Perfect. It's a good
that's
look for you. I'd run with it.
yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing. So yeah, man. Okay, let's start from the beginning. Like, where were you born? And then when did you and your family come to Spanaway?
It was pretty early on that we came to Spanaway. I was born Tacoma General. I learned through your podcast actually that Tacoma General wasn't the Tacoma General that we know to stand right now. It actually was a completely different building. I just took it for granted growing up. So, but let's see. So, yeah, born in Tacoma, lived in Tacoma, very early life, moved to Spanaway probably when I was 6 years old. I remember
Hmm.
I went to Natchez Trail Elementary very briefly after moving from Tacoma, and then Evergreen. And Evergreen, I stayed
Nice.
there until Cedar Crest, and then Spanaway Lake.
Nice. And then, do you have memories from Evergreen? Do you have memories from Natchez Trail?
Natchez Trail, I only have one memory, and it's loose, and it's probably more bitter than is healthy. So I was in kindergarten at the time, and I left Bernie Elementary in Tacoma, and we were making these really cool plates that we were coloring on, and they were gonna go ahead and put them in a kiln and set them. And they said that they'd go ahead and send me the plate at the school that I was going to. Basically, I completed it, I handed it off, and then left to go to Natchez Trail. And it never showed up to Natchez Trail. And, like, my little 6-year-old mind at the time, I was so angry at the school for not being able to get that plate back. But, it was a fine
No
school. It
way.
actually, on the outside, looked very similar to Evergreen Elementary. I mean, it was Bethel School District, so they all kind of looked the same on the outside at the time.
They really do. They really do. So you said you had your whole first grade there, and then second through sixth, you were at Evergreen?
Well, I rounded out kindergarten at Natchez Trail, and then first with Miss Haskey all the way through 6th grade, I was at Evergreen.
You haven't seen it, but in the last episode, I had, because I haven't published this one yet, but I interviewed Inouye, Jason Inouye, and
Yeah, yeah.
he was able to name off everybody, I think, that he went to elementary school with. Do you think you could do that? Every
No,
teacher?
I certainly could not. Thankfully, I've provided some pictures from either 2nd or 5th grade with Miss Buster, but yeah, it was kind of a blur. I remember, like Chip and Brian and Ryan, like we had the opportunity to talk about when we all met, and that was fun. Let's see, Chu Young, got Alicia, Bart Childers. He's over on the East Coast now in Georgia, I believe. Chris Wheat. Yeah. There were a lot of people that stuck with living in Spanaway all the way through the end of high school, regardless of what
Dude,
they went to Bethel High School or Spanaway Lake.
yeah. And like, man, this is just a random podcast, right? And it's like, this is for a random YouTube channel. So it's so funny because, like, some people have been like, hey, well, like, I didn't graduate. Or, it's like, man, this podcast I've said this already, but this podcast has had two people that graduated from Bethel. So it's just like, there's like no rules to this. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, it's like, hey, it's like kind of like whatever. So, but you brought up
I don't know.
pictures, and I'm
I
like,
think it's awesome. It's an awesome focal point.
thank
I
you.
was really happy to see that you had done this, and even more honored that I get to be a part of it.
Absolutely. And it's funny because it's a lot of people are afraid of it, or I don't know. Like, I think people are like afraid slash bashful to be on, or maybe I haven't made them feel comfortable enough to be on, because I feel like you have to have some sort of comfort sometimes too. But you'll be surprised how many people have like respectfully declined, and I'm like, hey, it's okay, maybe you guys will change your mind later. But man, I appreciate you for coming on, because I feel like yeah, I just feel like it's a nice little way for people to reconnect. And like, you don't, a lot of times it takes a little, people are so busy, and it takes
Yeah,
like
right.
going out of your way to kind of like interrupt somebody and be like, hey, do you have time to like tell me about your whole childhood history? So it's like, this, a podcast is a weird way where I can ask those questions and it doesn't sound like weird or whatever. So it's just kind of like, I don't know, it's just, I like doing it, I have fun, and I'm thankful that you watch and now you're a part of it.
Yes. Hey, nah, I love that. Um, getting back to Evergreen Elementary, there was one cool memory that I had from there that I tried to kind of incorporate into my day to day now. So they had the Eagle's Nest where we would all kind of congregate and listen to stories as elementary school students. But we also had this bathtub that was in a special corner of the library where they had jellyfish hanging from the ceiling. It was kind of the jellyfish rainforest. And the bathtub was a old clawfoot tub bathtub with like some pillows in it, and it was the reading tub. And I've got 4 children myself, and I came across an old clawfoot tub, and I was able to go ahead and start painting it up. I'll send you a
No
picture
way.
here
Yeah.
later, but it's not exactly like it was at Evergreen, but it's nice and orange on the outside, and painted the inside of it like aqua with like some glitter, and kids just love sitting in there and reading. So that was I initially tried to check back in with Evergreen to see if they had it. They didn't, but I was interested in just actually buying it from them. So I ended up making my
Yeah.
own, and yeah, it's upstairs and full use. Like, who knew? Reading in a bathtub would be something that kids would enjoy.
You finished it? Are you, did you finish it?
Yeah, it's finished. It's been done for a couple years.
Wow.
Yeah,
Man,
getting it upstairs was a heavy lift. Yeah, no pun intended, I guess. Yeah, that thing weighs about 400 pounds. Had to use every bit of like the technical rescue training that I had gone through with like pulleys and
I was
ropes.
gonna
And like I
say,
had to phone a friend at one point, and like I clearly did not think that through when I had this vision of having this giant bathtub upstairs. But there
yeah,
it is, and there it's probably going to stay.
that's all. Yeah, and that's awesome. I don't remember that. I don't remember seeing that at Evergreen, because I went to Evergreen as well, and
Okay. Yeah.
but no, that's awesome that you have that. So
Do you remember the jellyfish rainforest room?
I don't remember that. I don't really remember too much from Evergreen. Like, kind of, yeah, like my Evergreen memories are very, it's just, it's kind of hard to remember. It's kind of like, I'm surprised you don't remember. Like, it's like, I kind of remember the teachers I had, but I don't really, it's like it's very choppy. I have a choppy memory of, I mean, these are like 35+ year old memories too. And like, we were so young, but
Yeah,
no,
well,
I just
plus you and I
don't
played
remember.
football, so maybe there's something to this whole CTE theory. Maybe we just
Thousand,
got bumped on the
exactly.
head a time or two, and we don't remember everything.
Exactly. I bumped my head a lot. And so I'm thankful that I am able to use my brain today and make sentences and stuff like that. So, but speaking of elementary, and then you sent some pictures. I feel like, here, let's just show these off, since kind of like
All right.
we were talking about them.
Yeah, that looks like, well, on the
Let's
bottom,
go to the,
fifth grade, and we can go up to the top too. That's fine.
sorry.
So both of them are from fifth grade. We have their, I guess, third from the left, Ryan Johnson, dressed up as a
Okay.
vampire, and I'm there over on the left hand side as a ninja. That was one of our first Halloweens together, and we have other members of my family. I had Travis, my sisters Christina and Kelly in there as well.
Nice.
Ryan and I broke off, and we were doing some trick or treating, and that was a pretty noteworthy Halloween for both of us. We actually had some junior high students come and steal our bags. Yeah, they came up
No way.
behind us. We were so bummed out. Ryan, the warrior that he is, like they grabbed the bag from me, and I basically let go. It was no problem, no challenge for
Yeah.
them. Ryan actually tied him up a little bit and started taking some swings at him. They eventually got the bags, but yeah,
Wow.
Ryan would not let go. From what I understand, I guess they had done that like all night, and I don't
Yeah.
know. Rumor was that they were arrested. They had like a bed full of candy. But yeah, that was one of our first Halloweens together there in fifth grade.
That's awesome. You said you had how many siblings did you have again?
I got two other siblings. I've got my middle sister, Christina, and my youngest sister, Kelly.
Awesome. Awesome. And how much younger are they from you?
Oh, gosh, if I was a better brother, I'd be able to tell you exactly.
No. All good. All good.
Christina's 3 years younger than me, and Kelly, she is 5 or 6 years younger than me.
Awesome.
But yeah, this is Miss Buster. I got to have her twice while I was at Evergreen Elementary, once in second grade and then again in fifth grade. This is where I met Chip, as you can see there along
Chip,
the top, looking very Chip-like. And then we have Brian over there in the middle, all the way down to the left. And yeah, they became really good friends right off the bat. And Ryan and I became pretty good friends right off the bat that year. He was in a different class, and just through football and living nearby and being in the same neighborhood, we all became friends.
Man, this is dope. This is dope. And so, let me see. Should I just share the couple other pictures that we have too, since we're here?
Sure. Yeah, it was cool. It was a cool journey trying to even find the pictures. They definitely aren't readily available. I had to go to Dad's house and like go through 7 boxes and then start looking. I mean, like I said, I'm on Facebook, so there was one of them that was just posted on there. I grabbed this one right here. Ryan, he for a period of time, for about a decade actually, he went and lived in Puerto Vallarta, and I was able to go visit him once. And yeah, we did some zip lining. That's a picture of him and I just after doing some zip lining. Crazy zip line there. I know they're not all like this, but we were like a good solid 300 feet above a creek, going probably 60 miles an hour down a zip line.
Wow.
Yeah. Glad I didn't drop the camera. Glad we didn't die. But it was a really fun trip. And he lived in old Puerto Vallarta, so I got to see a lot of the history there. It was a fun experience. It's wonderful
Looks like definitely a couple guys I would not want to try to steal candy from in this picture. So what a contrast. What a contrast from back then to like more recent.
Well, yeah. I mean, it was what it was. I'm sure actually I've had a chance to reconnect with one of the two people that were taking candy. And he's a fine, upstanding member of society. And yeah, we just laugh about it.
It's funny.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously these are all like local people, right, too. So it's kind of like, man.
Yeah, we all run in the same circle, it turns out.
Yeah, I mean, it's just,
So,
okay.
Yeah, a few years ago, Chip, he's super generous. He went ahead and sprung for tickets to a Seahawks game for all of us here on the left-hand side. He didn't grow up in Spanaway. He was somebody that we all kind of connected with many years later. He went to Juanita High School, Chris, and you got myself there next to Chris. And, of course, Chip in the middle. We've got Nathan Seifert next to him. He made the way out. And then we have Ryan rocking a beard there on the far right. It was a fun game. We were playing the 49ers. It was Brock Purdy's very first game, and we were all certain we were going to destroy them, and that was definitely not the case. We had no idea what we were up against with Brock Purdy, but it was a really, really good time. It was nice to kind of have that reunion between us.
Absolutely. Damn, that looks like Brock Purdy ended up being he's actually a problem. So like
yeah, he needs to go away.
Yeah, no, for sure. Man, so did you do any like extracurriculars when you were like in elementary school?
Boy, in elementary school. Yeah, I played some recreational league baseball. Actually, I think that was all that I did as far as like recreation. So yeah, I played baseball, t-ball, did that every year except for fifth grade. And I even carried it on 2 years into Cedar Crest. they actually had a rec team there, and it was fun. But I eventually transitioned. But yeah, that was basically my load in elementary school.
And then, so you brought up, you didn't do any other extracurriculars in elementary then, right? Like, so that's interesting. Just baseball only. You didn't play football back then?
No, no. Ryan was always, and keep in mind, I didn't meet Ryan until we were like 12, so it was basically the
Yeah.
end of Evergreen time. But he was really into football. I liked baseball, but just by him and Chip and Brian, I'd get out in the neighborhood and play. And like, okay, you know what? I'll give it a shot. And he kept encouraging me, and yeah, it kind of caught fire. I started playing in 7th grade. I really didn't have a football identity. I just went out there and I played. I think they had me at like tight end and then cornerback, which
Yeah, wow.
I'm about a 240-pound guy, and they had me at cornerback, and I played just like you would expect somebody that didn't know anything about football to play. But thankfully,
Yeah.
in 7th grade, there's not a lot of passing that happens, so it worked out okay.
I was
But
gonna
yeah, I was
say,
able to, I don't know, playing football in the neighborhood. One of our friends, I think it might have been Nathan, he said, you remind me a lot of Mike Allstott. I was like, who's this guy? He's like, oh, he's a fullback from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, like tall guy, larger guy, just barrels through stuff. And I was like, I look like him. Okay, well, how does he play? And I was like, you know what? I'll try that. And it actually kind of helped me gain a little bit of an identity when it came to football. Like, okay, you know what? I am going to be the guy that runs through people or tries to run through people and tries to overpower, as opposed to, maybe running around like Barry Sanders, juking people, all that kind of stuff. So it actually gave me a little bit of a nugget to build off of. I'm actually pretty thankful that Nathan said anything, because that kind of allowed me to take the positions that I took in high school as an offensive lineman.
it's funny because I remember, it's weird what you remember as a kid. Like, you remember random stuff. And so, like, in the 90s, the Cowboys were good. So I used to be kind of like, and my dad was a big Cowboys fan. So I used to like be a Cowboys fan too. The Seahawks weren't very good back then either, right? In the
No, they were
90s.
not.
But I also remember, because it's funny you bring up Nathan, and it's funny because you kind of remember different people and like the teams I used to like. He used to be a huge Dolphins fan, so it's so funny because like when I ran into him randomly at this concert at Marymore. This is like 2017. And I think I finally asked him, like, hey, how come he was like, it's funny because I asked him about the Dolphins thing. And then it's just so funny because, like, we're both pretty hardcore Seahawks fans now. So it's like, it's
Right.
like, hey, we just finally grew up. We're from this area. So we're going to support this team. And so it's just kind of like, that's how I look at it. So it's kind of funny that
Right. Right.
whenever I hear his name, I always think Dolphins. But yeah, what you call it? So you started, what other extracurriculars did you? So you stopped playing baseball at Cedar Crest, or did you do?
Yeah.
Did you
Yeah.
wrestle at
I
Cedar
played
Crest?
recreational. Oh, what was that?
Did you wrestle at Cedar Crest? Or like, what sports did you do at Cedar Crest when you were there?
So at Cedar Crest, I played football. I played football all 3 years, 7th, 8th, and 9th. I didn't do any wrestling there. I did baseball the first 2 years, and then 9th grade with Coach Judd Benedict. I went out there, and I remembered him from football, and he was the coach for the throw team. So I did
Yes.
track and field.
Yeah, I think, man, to me it was kind of special. Like for us Cedar Crest people, like so me and you, so it was like Cedar Crest people that ran track our 9th grade year that also played football at Spanaway Lake our sophomore year, because we got to, like, basically Judd was a coach for us at Cedar Crest, and then he was like our linebackers coach. That was what made me laugh, that he was actually like, I just thought, when you get introduced to a coach, you're like, this is like the track coach, like a throw coach or whatever. And then like you find, and then when we got to high school, he was like the linebackers coach, and you're like, you come to realize, oh, he's actually known for being a linebacker. He's like linebacker, and then like you're just like, oh, he was just kind of doing the throw thing for, like. So I thought that was kind of funny, just how. And then we also had Coach Wright, that was also a coach at Cedar Crest our 9th grade year. And then he was like my position coach when I got to, so it's so funny how it was just like both of those guys that, as far as a 9th grader from Cedar Crest playing football at Spanaway Lake the very next year, we kind of got that little like continuity, for that. And it's funny because it's like literally the end of 95, our 9th grade year, and then like went directly into like sophomore year. So it's kind of like a whole 6-month period where we're kind of like hanging out with these, like those same dudes, so.
Yeah, it was really good, really beneficial for us to be able to get that FaceTime. I'm super thankful that we were able to have that kind of influence coming over from PLU. Just talking to different people, they actually had a lot of teachers from PLU come over to Bethel School District and do some really good things. We were really fortunate for that.
Yeah, because PLU was like it's kind of a storied program, and Coach Joseph, another PLU. And that was the other thing. I didn't realize that Coach Joseph and Benedict were like good friends like that. Did you know that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah,
See, I
they
didn't
would talk
realize
about
that.
it on occasion.
Yeah, because
So,
we didn't like
yeah, to
when
kind of round
Joseph.
things out a little bit. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say because when Joseph came, Benedict left, so I didn't realize those two like even because we weren't around both of them at the same time. Benedict had left to go to, I forgot. I think that's when he moved away or something like that. And because Joseph tells the story, like he was so excited to tell Benedict that he was also at Spanaway Lake, and then he was like, "Oh, well, his wife got a job somewhere else, and so I think he had to leave." So that's why I was just kind of like, "Oh, I didn't realize that other people knew that they were like connected." Like I knew they both went to PLU, but I didn't realize like they were friends or whatever. But such a small world.
Yeah, I'm not sure where the association was made, but pretty early on there, like I had understood that they had known each other.
Nice,
Yeah, and I've
nice,
got
nice.
a captain at work now that went to PLU and knew both of them. It's weird small world.
It is. It is. Oh, that's what's crazy how. And I mean, we're all kind of connected one way or another. And that's why this podcast obviously named the SwaySide Connection. And it's kind of interesting this putting together, connecting a lot of these random dots of like coaches, people we knew, just like, yeah, man, just timelines. And it's so interesting just seeing how like a lot of this stuff went. So now, any favorite memories from Cedar Crest that you had, like while you were there? Any funny moments maybe that come to mind? Favorite classes?
Boy, that was a long time ago. I really liked Miss Parker's class. I don't remember exactly what they called it. It might have been challenge. It might have been like an honors class, whatnot. But I remember being in her class, and she gave us a lot of autonomy to just basically come up with presentations or just like do side projects and try to tie them into whatever thing that she was wanting us to learn about. So I really liked her class. She was a strong teacher and really supportive. And she gave me the opportunity to bring. I mean, I had snakes when I was in middle school. I had a Burmese python and then a red-tailed boa, and she would actually hook it up to where I could bring them into class and just give a little class on snakes.
That's crazy. Yeah. Dang.
So yeah,
Yeah.
so that was a lot of fun. Yeah, memories outside of that. I really had a good time 9th grade track season. Being out there with was it Tanitra, Tanika, Judd Benedict. Had a really fun time out there. So
There's
yeah,
such a
some fun memories.
that ninth that was fun, man. That 9th grade track season was super fun. I mean, it's one of the yeah, I don't know. It's hard to explain, but it was just such a vibe. It was like every day was fun after school, and it's like I don't know. It's just hard to explain. It's like a random. I think I might have told this story before already, but like that track season, I used to wear like red every day, and Coach Wright didn't know my name. Like in the very first like couple of weeks, he literally would just call me Red because I would wear red. He'd be like Red, and so just such a funny time, just like random stuff that I used to remember. So no,
Right
that's
on.
that's amazing. And then now high school. So now, like, what were you? Yeah, what extracurriculars and stuff did you do in high school?
Okay, so yeah, football was a very big part of it. Very similar to yourself. They got to us before we even had that opportunity to start taking classes. So that was that cheat code, I think you've called it.
Yeah.
That little preload of going to like maybe kind of a pre-academy type football like pre-camp. Very important. I had fond memories with that. Did weightlifting. That's where I was introduced. Well, okay, yeah, that's about where I was introduced to Steve Cameron. He was the weightlifting and the throws coach. I'd love to find out where he ended up and what happened with him. He was super
Yeah.
influential in my life, but had a lot of good experiences there with him. And then, of course, track. Track was something I was very, very motivated to get better at. Like so much so, like we had special workout curriculums. We'd go ahead and take our multivitamins and creatine that was just coming out onto the market, and we
Yeah.
would go do Olympic lifts with I think his name was John Thrush, maybe. Anyhow, out at his place, he had a special CrossFit gym before CrossFit was even a thing out in Auburn, and
Wow.
it was actually it was a nice group that we had. And then we would just go out to the country roads and get some lunch or some breakfast and just kind of have good fellowship and talk about how we were going to try to get better as weightlifters and throwers. So let's see. What else was there?
Coach, can I just bring up, and I brought it up in the last episode because me and Inoue talked about Coach Steve in that one. And that's funny because in that episode, I say nobody's brought him up yet. And because he was very influential, I wasn't even a power lifter or anything, just somebody that was occasionally in the gym for football. But man, that dude.
He did some good things. He had some money and he had
amazing.
some time on his hands, and
He
he
was
decided
amazing.
to invest it in the Bethel School District. Thankfully, we spent most of that time at Spanaway Lake. I know Denny Mullins, Dan Starr, they both really benefited from what he was putting out there. A lot of support, and he allowed them to show or face it.
Do you have a Coach Steve story? Do you have any of the sayings he used to say? Because, and I don't want to, yeah. Do you have any of those things that you remember?
Yeah.
Because he was loud in the weight room. I don't know if people understand how much of a force Coach Steve was, but man, that dude was definitely a blessing for all of us that got to be around him. Like I said, I wasn't even a power lifter, but like, dude hyped me up. Like, I'm not going to lie. So,
Yeah, no, former Army Ranger, absolutely. I still use a Coach Cameron-ism to this day. Like when my kids, they do something pretty awesome, it's not uncommon to hear me yell out, "Outstanding!"
yes.
Like that was always his thing. Funny story about him. Gosh, I thought I was starting to get pretty strong in high school. Like I was lifting, I was hitting these numbers that I never thought I would hit. And we were doing deadlifts one day, and I think I deadlifted, and now this isn't where I ended up with deadlift, but it was meaningful for me. I ended up getting up like 400 pounds or so. I was just like, oh man, I got to 400 pounds. I've been working so hard at this. And he's like, outstanding. And he wasn't trying to show me up because we had some conversation, but he had walked over there like it was starting to roll away. He had walked over there with one hand and picked it up and moved it over like 8 feet to the left. Like it was nothing. Like he wasn't trying to show me up, but it definitely humbled me. I noticed.
That's crazy. Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
he even in his state that he was at when he was at Spanaway Lake High School, like not really lifting. I assumed he wasn't lifting.
Yeah.
He was just like freakishly strong.
Man, what a force, man. That dude is. And yeah, that's why I love having this space to give props to a lot of people that were very influential. And like I wasn't directly under, like he didn't coach me directly, but like man, just the little tidbits of motivation and inspiration that he had, like still rubbed, like a lot of that rubbed off on me. And so man, just another like very influential dude. And so I like hearing stories about people that were so positive in our community. So that's why I love that you were able to share that, like those moments, with him and stuff. So would
Yeah,
you
I
say
mean,
that
I
you
don't know what it's like at other schools and whatnot, but just kind of looking back and your podcast, it actually kind of forced me to look back a little bit. We really had it good. I mean,
for
the
real?
PLU pipeline coming through Spanaway Lake High School, Coach Cameron, Coach Roback. And I'm certain there are teachers that maybe you and I didn't connect with, but some teachers that really meant a lot to a lot of people. I feel like we had it pretty good there.
Yeah. And a lot of like there's ways to, it's funny because like you could say, hey, like Spanaway Lake is not a private school and they don't have X, Y, and Z, but like I believe there was a private school level type of education for students that wanted to have private school level education if they wanted to. I did not want that. I try to avoid, like, I avoided as I to this day, I still avoid a lot of friction when it comes to certain things. So, but you're
Okay.
right. You're right. I think we really had it good,
Yeah, Miss
like,
Smith, she ran a really good honors program. Like in hindsight, I think I probably could have benefited from maybe doing more mainstream type classes. A lot of what she was putting out there, just like with Miss Parker, had a lot to do with autonomy and deep diving and looking into like different aspects of history and English that, maybe there needed to be a little bit more of a foundation. So when time came and I was in 12th grade, my senior year, and I was able to start taking some of those classes to kind of round out so I could graduate. I saw, what I had missed. But
yeah,
absolutely, they had some very good supplemental programs that could really, I think, give students a heads up. Yeah, we'll go with that. A hand
yeah,
up when it comes to their college experience. I felt like it
yeah.
helped me when I was starting with community college and I had to take those college level social studies and English classes. I felt like they helped me. But I didn't do Running Start. I've heard that there's been I don't know, a converse experience when it came to Running Start versus the curriculum that we had in the Bethel School District, at least via your podcast.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like, I don't know, when it comes to education, I think people have wanted to bring up, what's the education level like at Spanaway Lake? And like, man, looking back, I think it was solid, I think a lot of it is determined on the student because as a student, it's crazy the autonomy that we got to pick the classes. We get to pick the classes that we take. So it's kind of up to you whether you want to challenge yourself or not. And then obviously some classes you have to qualify for, whether that's with testing or whatever. So I don't know. I think at least when we were there, we really, like, man, you hit it on the head. We had it pretty good. It's definitely wasn't a perfect school, but man, there was definitely teachers there that cared, and we could have had it much worse, So, nah, man. Man, do you have any? So were you more motivated by track, weightlifting, football?
Yeah,
Uh,
up
Can
until
you
my,
rank
my
those?
senior.
Rank those 1, 2, and 3, like track, weightlifting, football, like for you, just like.
Okay. All right. So weightlifting was always a means to an end when it came to track and football. Thankfully, Coach Roback and Coach Cameron, they were right there neck and neck.
They
It
were.
actually kind of rounded out my year. I know that's not necessarily what you're looking for, but, when it was football season, it was football season. And I did football stuff, and Coach Cameron respected that. And then when it was weightlifting, there was a little bit of a molding there. You'd get
Yeah.
Coach Roback, who had clear benefits from it. Coach Cameron, also clear benefits. And then track season, we really wouldn't do a whole lot on the football side. Every once in a while, or if I had him in weightlifting, Coach Roback and I would talk. But he respected Coach Cameron's space, and it was all about track. Summertime, it was kind of the same thing as the winter time, where you dabble in both. But when it's season, it's season. As far as like the coach's influence in my life, man, I was sad to see Coach Cameron go there my senior year. That was devastating for me. It was nice having interactions with him as he was coaching at Bethel High School, something I wasn't super
I
cool with.
know.
Um,
Yeah.
Coach Roback, he was very influential in my life as well, and he was able to be there, and I was able to be around him through the end of senior year.
Yeah.
So I couldn't rank one in front of the other. Man, I'm super blessed to have both of them in my life. I think they rounded me out as a man.
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't saying to necessarily rank them as people, obviously. I was just saying like your seriousness or like excitement level to just the aspect of football, track, and weightlifting as far as like seasons. Like, were you more excited to do one over the other? Like, for example, like if they were like all in the same season and you only had to pick one, could you rank those three in order as far as like what you like to do?
I gotcha. I gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I completely misunderstood the question.
No, you're
So
good.
yeah, hands down, football, of course.
Yeah.
I love football. I think track, because it's a little bit more technical than weightlifting, or at least I didn't take a very technical approach to weightlifting. I think it would be football, track, and then weightlifting.
Gotcha. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, man. Do you have any? Speaking of football, do you have any football stories?
Football stories.
Do you remember going to Camp
Yeah, I know.
Sispus?
Yeah. I remember going to Camp Sispus. Actually, there was kind of a pivotal moment there during Camp Sispus. I loved going there. It was fun, but there was a moment of just some awkward silence where I think I was able to kind of mature into a little bit of a leader. Basically, a spot where I had to throw my metaphorical hat down. So there was this balancing board that had an offset rope kind of holding it up. So it was always out of balance. And the task was to us to work as a team and figure out how much everybody weighed and get that beam to actually go parallel to the ground. And they said, when you do that through physics, I never took physics, so I can't vet this, it'll actually start rotating on its own. So we tried that. We were trying to do math, and like a whole bunch of football players out there, it's 85 degrees. We've already done like 6 different events. We were trying, and it just was not working out. So the mentor that we were with, their counselor, he was like, all right, let's just go off and go do other things, and we'll come back to this. So we went off, we came back, and he said, okay, so let's go ahead and jump into this, but we're running out of time. So we want to maybe consider just doing some other things and bagging this.
Well, who was
And
in your group?
my gosh,
Do you
I don't
remember?
remember. It's somebody from Spanaway Lake High School that played football. That's as close to the pin as I could get you.
I have a story right after this one, but go ahead.
Okay. All right. I hadn't really tried to be a leader or identified myself as a leader at the time, but like basically the vibe of the group was just like, yeah, you know what? We're only here for so long. Let's just go check out some of the other stuff. We'll leave this. I let it simmer for a little bit. I wasn't going to say anything. The counselor was like, well, Karl, you're not really chiming in. What are your thoughts? And I didn't flip out, but as far as like how introverted I was in the moment, it was actually kind of a coming out. I was like, are you kidding me? What on earth are we considering here? Do you think that Puyallup and Rogers are gonna just give up on this and go do other things? This isn't a vacation. This isn't a sightseeing tour. Like, if we can't get this, we can't beat them. I say we stay here until we get this. And like, sure enough, we did. And we were able to do it. And it was an interesting moment for me. Like, I hadn't been outspoken like that before, and to actually just show some courage and be outspoken and have the positive outcome and then have success. I mean, clearly we didn't go undefeated the next year, but as far as like events in my life, that was probably a big event that I built on. So I was super thankful for that.
It's awesome. That's funny that I love stories like that. Like the things that you remember doing, and then that camp was so fun that we got to go out there as a team and like go. It's basically Sispus is like this big ropes course. So you have like these little things like Karl was saying. The only reason I remember, and I don't remember the whole group, but I remember 2 people that were in my group, and like the challenge that we had that we were stuck on all day was there was a 15-foot wall, and everybody had to go over the wall, and
Yep.
like you couldn't use any ropes or nothing. You had to, as a team, figure out. You had to like lift each other up. You had to like have people come, like somebody needed to get up there, and then like you could pull people. You basically couldn't use any ladders or anything, but you could pull each other up and use each other's bodies to get your whole team of, well, we were probably in like teams of like 10 or 8 or something like that. So
Yeah, 8 to 10 max, definitely.
8 to 10, and then you had to get your whole team over the wall, and that's where we were stuck on all day. Same sort of thing where like we're sitting there, we're trying to do math, but the 2 people that I remember that were in my group that where I was just like, okay, how are we going to do this? I had Newton and I had Snow. So I had
Man,
so
good luck.
it was like, dude, I got these gigantic dudes, but like not necessarily. It was a challenge. So that's why I definitely remembered those 2 being in my group and being so proud of our group. And those two guys, like I just remember it was us, like we were that I didn't to me when we got to the wall, I was like, okay, 15 feet wall, there's no way. There's no way we are gonna do this. And then kind of like how you were saying, I don't know if anybody had a riveting speech like your speech, but just the fact that man, we stuck it out and like we didn't let that 15-foot wall beat us, man, that felt good. It was like one of those random just like man feels good moments when you're just stuck. And I think we don't understand as we live life, like somebody who doesn't like friction like myself, and I'm willing to give up a lot of things and quit things early. Like man, I it's so funny how like I look back at times like that and like man, it's just so powerful that just being able to like come up on something, experience some hardship and then push through and then actually accomplish the thing. And it's man, what an amazing place that place is. I wonder if that place is still open and doing groups
It
like
is.
that.
It is. I go down there
Oh,
or go out into that area. I love fishing, so I'm in that area probably annually. And Yellow Jacket Ponds, it's just right
nice.
outside Sispus River. And I've just tried to sneak to the property and like maybe kind of show off some of the
Yes.
bells and whistles, and it's definitely not set up like that. Now you make some reservations or you set up something that's diligently, but it's absolutely in operation.
Man, I would love to. Man, it because I think rope. Yeah, to me, after we went on that, I was like a big fan of ropes courses and like if you want to do team building, there, I think that place was amazing. And I wish we were better as a team and like we were better after that. But man, that was such like a fun memory. So yeah, do you have any other like memories
Well, we
from?
started something. Oh, go ahead.
No, no, you were saying we started something.
Well, I felt like we started something. I mean, when we got there to Spanaway Lake, I mean, we had a nice long run of 2-7, 1-8 type football teams, and we built what we had built, and we had good guidance. Our junior year, we won a couple of more. Senior year, won a couple of more outside looking in when it came to playoffs, and I think they continued to build on that trajectory all the way through 2001. Like they had some playoff runs, and there was a lot of good that came out of that, and I feel hopeful that at least we were a small part of that. If
Oh
anything,
yeah,
we
I think
witnessed
we
it.
absolutely. I definitely think we were. No, and that's what. So I think when that's why I don't feel like people understand it. It's like, and I think I've said this before, but it wasn't the biggest flex playing football because, like you said, there was a ton of 1-8, 2-7 seasons. So like being on the football team was kind of like something you definitely weren't proud of because we didn't win a lot. We lost a lot of games, and not only would we would lose bad. We would lose by like 40, 50 points sometimes. So it was not.
Yeah, we did have those experiences. Those still don't feel good. I can definitely understand what Coach Roback was
Yeah,
talking about with, the food just not tasting the same the next day.
yeah. Do
Yeah.
you now? What
Yeah,
position
that
again
whole
did you play?
mentality of like if you're not right and things aren't going well performance wise, like everything else just isn't quite as good either.
Exactly. Now, what can you tell people like what position you played and like do you have any moments from like practice, games, coaches, any sort of memories from that?
Let's see. Well, I played center. That was mainly what I had done at Spanaway Lake High School. I started off as a tight end my sophomore year, and I played there. I did all right. I always wanted the ball, but I didn't get it very often. I wasn't the greatest tight end. I worked really really hard in the winter and the spring, bulked up, and man, yeah, it just did not work out my junior year. We had some talent come in to play tight end, some sophomores, and yeah. So I moved back to the position of center. Coach Thiessen asked. He saw how I was doing on the throws team, and he liked my work ethic. So he said, "Hey, I'm the offensive line coach. Would you ever consider playing offensive line?" I was like, "Hey, I played center back in ninth grade." He was like, "Cool, let's do that." And it worked out. There was a game pretty early in the season, my junior year. What was his name? Jason Utterback. He got injured, and I was next man up, and just didn't look back. I mean, it was addicting. I loved hearing my name out there being called right before a varsity game. It was something that I was hoping that maybe I could get to do as a senior, and I was able to do it as a junior, and I just kind of carried that on as a center. Even played a couple of years of semi-pro football after high school, where I was playing center there, and a lot of what Coach Thiessen had taught me and the lessons that I had learned, I just kind of carried over.
Where was this at?
The semi-pro stuff?
Yeah.
So the semi-pro stuff, I started off with the Snohomish County Vikings in 1999. I didn't even start the season with them. I didn't even know that they existed. I was just, I was living up north with Ryan Johnson near Linwood, and I was at a gym, and big dude, he's working out. He's wearing a shirt that said Snohomish County Vikings. I asked him about it, and invited me out to a practice. So I went out there to a practice, and thankfully I hadn't lost a lot from high school. And they said, I asked the coach, I was like, hey, you think I'm going to make the team? Like, am I up to snuff? And he was like, Karl, I think you're going to start for us. Yeah, we'd love to have you. And I was like, really? My gosh. So I got to play for them. And thankfully, they were longer seasons. So I think I ended up doing like 8 or 9 games that season. But it was cool. They gave me, I don't know, you hear about this baseball player played for the Red Sox that ended up having a bloody sock, and he pitched in the World Series and whatnot. I had a very similar event when we were playing.
Yeah,
Kurt Schilling, yeah. So I had a similar event. We were playing a Bremerton team, and very early on, I think somebody had metal cleats on or something. They stomped on my toe, and I played the entire game, not really understanding what was going on down there. And after the game, yeah, sure enough, I had a bloody sock, and they were like, that's our guy right there. They voted me like most inspirational. I had a great time with them. So that was a good experience. And then I played again the following year. Actually, the following year, I played for a different team. I was living closer to Kirkland. And do you remember Sam Adams from the Seahawks?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. So he owned the team there, the semi-pro team there. It was the East Side Hawks. Okay. And they convinced me to come over there. I played for them. And that was an okay experience for me. He was in the market at the time to try to get as much talent as possible and then eventually buy an Arena League team up in Everett. So I signed with them, and I probably played maybe 4 games on special teams. It just wasn't the same experience. It was fun. I remember we were lining up, and he was a big defensive lineman. I think he might be a Hall of Famer. He did not have pads on. I had pads on, and he wanted to show one of the other defensive linemen. It was Jeremiah Farms from UW. Meek. I guess I was feeling confident. I asked him. I was like, hey, do you want me to give you a look? And he looks at me kind of side-headed. He's like, what? I was like, do you want me to give you a look? And he's like, please. So I lined up still. And the amount of power that this guy had, he didn't even hit me hard. He basically just like very southernly guided me away from him about 8 feet and onto the ground. There's no way I was playing in the NFL. This guy is amazing. I can't believe he just did this to me. So that was a lot of fun. But yeah, I did play a little bit on the semi-pro side. It was more recreation at the time. I did have some aspirations of playing for UW, and yeah, it really wasn't in the cards, especially considering my size. There are not a lot of offensive linemen in the Pac-10 at the time that were 5'10", 210 pounds.
Exactly. Yeah. No, man. That's still amazing that you played after high school. I haven't played one snap, not real, like outside of just pickup, but like nothing organized. The fact that you played 2 seasons of something organized after high school, man, I feel like, man, that's still an accomplishment, man. And so it's like looking back, I probably would have I wish I did more of that. Like when we were still at those ripe ages of like 18, 19, and our bodies were still pretty young and could take a little bit of a beating. And so, nah, man, kudos to you. And so I have a random memory from high school. Do you remember at the end of our senior year of football season? Do you remember?
Yep. I know exactly what you're going to talk about.
So Karl and I got invited. So every football team in Tacoma was invited to like this Rotary Club banquet where a football team would bring, and I think it had to do with like grades too. Like, so like you would try to bring like your highest, you would bring at least one lineman and then one lineman, one back, and like you were supposed to have like really like the best grades on the team or whatever. And so the one lineman and then the one back that represented Spanaway Lake at this Rotary banquet was me, was Karl and your boy Heinz right here. So it was just kind of like a random, like such a random, it was like a random who's who of kind of like high school football at the time. And what do you remember from that banquet?
There were a few things from that banquet. Well, like one of the first things I remember, yeah, grades were a part of it, and I don't know, maybe Coach Roback just had a soft spot in his heart for me. I rolled into that with like a 2.7 GPA. And I remember like the expression on your face when we were starting to compare notes and you're like, how are you here? I was like,
Well,
I don't know. I didn't have to be
my
here.
GPA wasn't the best either, though. So that's why I really shouldn't have been saying anything because
See, you didn't say that to me. I was just like, okay.
Yeah, I
So,
think I was
but there
just being
was one component of that that really stuck out. Like, I don't know if you remember, I really wanted the ball. I mean, I came into Spanaway Lake and I wanted to be a tight end. So playing center, I still wanted the ball. I still played football in the neighborhood with the guys, and I got the ball. So I would try to draw up these plays, and Sean Smith, I probably annoyed him with all of my requests. I was like, okay, I'll tell you what. You catch the ball, I'll run the opposite way. You pitch it to me, and then you block for me. And like it never happened. But it can't come Camp Sispus after my coming out of leadership, I guess.
Yeah.
I asked Coach Roback, actually they had these forum surveys for us to fill out. And like one of the things at the bottom was like, hey, what would you like to see this season that maybe we haven't come across? And I totally laid out my game plan for like getting the center of the football and running sweep right and all this kind of stuff. He gave me a lot of crap for it. But at that event, they messed up and they said that you were the offensive lineman and I was the running back. So he leaned into that a little bit. He's like, Karl, you always wanted the rock. As close as we can get you is we got you the certificate that says you're a running back. Enjoy.
That's right. Do you have that? I don't know if I have. Do you have that certificate at all anywhere?
If I do, I haven't seen it in a long time. Like I have my Letterman's jacket and I think I've got some Coach Cameron type swag that he gave us as throwers and lifters.
Yeah. Yeah, man. What a random event that we got to go to. I think, do you remember who was at our table during that event? I think it was like, I want to say like Rogers head coach was at our table like randomly. Does that sound familiar?
Steve Jarvis? I don't remember who was at our table. I do remember Jason Johnson, their quarterback, had won, like whatever the event was geared towards. And I remember Mike Price, the former coach of Wazoo, was speaking there.
Man, see, yeah. Man, I wonder if anybody has video of that because I would love to see, like, kind of remember who was like there, who was in the room, and like everybody's, because so interesting to me. I love football, and like, so looking at little like football history things like that is like, I just love stuff like that. Basically anything from the 90s that like pictures, videos, even the pictures that you share today. Like I love like just kind of looking back and taking a look at history and stuff like that. So yeah, man,
Absolutely.
that's funny. Any classes that when you were in high school, any classes from high school specifically now that, or do you have any favorite teachers from high school?
Yeah. I mean, Coach Roback, he's right up there as far as guidance goes, and just enthusiasm and drive. But I think most applicably to where I'm at career wise, Mr. Kennedy, and I've heard his name come up a few times.
Yeah.
Like what a funny, odd guy that I don't know. He left quite the impression on a lot of people. I still use some of the phrases that he would say. Part of what I do at work is I teach class, and if people have their assignments, then they get to do the practical application. A couple of years I threw out. I was like, I'm going to go ahead and lean into this a little bit. So tickets, please. I'd try that. They don't get it. They're wondering why I'm laughing, but it's kind of a thing. And I don't know. Sometimes with my kids, if they're really loud, like if they were here right now, and I was trying to do this, you might just see me turn around and say, "Stop chanting." So I think he's kicking around out on the Key Peninsula. I haven't talked to him since high school. Actually, you know what? A few years after high school, I was working at a carpet cleaning place in Tacoma, and he came by to drop off a rug, and we were chatting about firefighting and whatnot.
Nice.
He had been retired. I think he was still spending a little bit of time at Pierce College, Stilcombe. So, but yeah,
That's
yeah,
awesome.
he kept teaching chemistry. Loved him as a teacher.
Nice. Yeah. Any random memories from that time period that stand out? Any memories of businesses that you remember from Spanaway that could be there still or not there anymore?
Let's see. Right next to Lake Spanaway Golf Course, there was a teriyaki joint right next to the Honda dealership that Ryan, myself, Chip, we all got senioritis pretty bad. I think I vaguely remember seeing your face around there, but we would go there and get some teriyaki. That place is, since they caught fire here probably about 5 years ago, so now I think it's like a tattoo shop or a hair salon. Yeah, that was around. Loved going there. The Country Rose,
Country
Ryan, Chip,
Rose.
and I all worked there at different points of our lives. That's still kicking around. Yeah, one thing that was kind of cool about that place, the owner, he was really good friends with Craig T. Nelson, the guy from the TV show
Coach.
Coach.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like, so he would pop in every once in a while. You'd see him standing out on the parking lot side, just kind of smoking a cigarette. I remember Mike Hartson, we went to school with. He worked there as well. He was kind of an ass to Craig one day. Craig was out there and people were driving by and they were kind of slowing down. And he actually he went like 200 yards down range and started like funneling people over to him. Basically, like harassed the guy. The guy eventually went back inside. I don't think he liked it very much, but it was funny as hell to watch.
Yeah,
Like, yeah,
I mean,
Coach, come on. So that was
not real.
going to that place as part of the senioritis. We'd go to the bowling alleys, to Paradise Lanes. That was kind of a hot spot.
Yep.
Going out to Spanaway Park, of course, going out there and do some fishing or whatever. Yeah. A lot of businesses. I don't know. I still kind of live in the area. I haven't the entire time since high school, but now I'm out on South Hill and I don't know, kind of reflecting, thinking about, what we might want to talk about. Do you remember like Marshawn Lynch going back to Oakland, hearing stories about that back when he was in his heyday with us?
Yeah.
And he said this phrase that really resonated with me. And I was working down in Grays Harbor at the time as a firefighter. He would go back to Oakland and he said, you know what? Sometimes you just got to go back home and just taste the air. I was like, that's really odd. I mean, is it really smoggy there in Oakland? What's that all about? And being out in Grays Harbor, as good as it was, the people were amazing to us. We did have a rental house back here in Puyallup, and I would start really like yearning to come back and just drive around Spanaway, spend some time at Spanaway Park, and just experience the people. It's funny how ingrained, like the personality, the vibe, the culture of an area just impresses itself on you. And I found myself missing that. That's actually part of the reason why I'm back kind of in the area. I like to have close access to it.
Do you feel like, because it's still, I mean, you've pretty much lived, like, have you moved outside of Western Washington since high school?
Yeah, I guess if you classify it as Western Washington, no. I spent some time down in Grays Harbor, and then I was up with Ryan in South Snohomish County, North King County. So Western Washington forever, maybe.
Now, there's still a difference, though, from Spanaway and those places that you just mentioned, though, you're saying.
Yeah. There's no way that, like in this economy, that Ryan and I should have been able to live in Kenmore, and then we had like a waterfront, pretty close to a waterfront house across the street from Lake Washington house that like the rents should have been prohibitive for us. And we were able to do that in our early to mid 20s.
That's amazing.
So yeah, it's crazy. It's definitely night and day. Now, Grays Harbor was a little bit different. That was a completely different vibe altogether. Now, while logging still happens there, it's nowhere near as prominent as it was back in the 80s before the whole thing came out with the spotted owl, but still very much a different vibe.
Because
spending some time in Spanaway versus those places, you can definitely see the pros and cons of, well, really each of them.
Yeah. Because just to bring back that Marshawn Lynch quote you were saying, like to breathe the air. So I think it's because there's something different about, like the air is very similar in all of Western Washington. It's pretty much the same climate throughout. For the most part, Grays Harbor might be a little bit different. You're a little bit closer to some bigger parts of water. But yeah, man, to me, like living in other places, like for me, like living in Vegas for like, man, the Washington air is like, man, you kind of hit it on the head. Like any of those places that you just mentioned, and especially just being back in the Tacoma, Spanaway, Puyallup area, man, there's just something special about it. Like to me, It's funny. My parents are from here. I'm in Samoa now, so this is my parents' home. But like the fact that I grew up in Spanaway, and then I have, well, not that I have a Spanaway podcast, but I kind of do, just kind of to remind myself that I'm definitely more Spanaway than anything else, even though I'm like not even in the country right now. But man, there's something special about that area where you're in, even South Hill, like just being in the 253, like even when I lived in Seattle, I still felt like, man, I was representing Tacoma Spanaway 253 area, like with my whole heart, you know what I mean? And so it's just, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head when it's just like, man, breathing that air is like, that's such a great quote, like, you know, for him to say that. And because like, I think there's something to it for me personally. So nah, man, that's amazing.
I
So
think you're accurate when you're talking about representing. I know you've kind of hit it on some of your other podcasts, but Spanaway does not have the greatest reputation. I know I'm not breaking news to you, but you know, with that reputation out there, they see people from Spanaway. You know, we're either gonna reassure them that that is actually what Spanaway is all about, or maybe we can kind of change their mind a little bit and show that Spanaway does have these positive qualities.
yeah, I mean, one podcast isn't going to change the perception because there's just, I mean, like kind of like anywhere else, bad stuff's going to happen in Spanaway. Like I said, like, dude, even my first experience, I don't know if you remember that as kids. Do you remember that murder that happened like right down the street from us? Like, it
Which
was like
one?
it was the 5-person murder where it was like, I think the kids were also going to Evergreen, where the guy came, killed the ex-wife, and then shot and then killed the kids and then the husband and then committed suicide. Do you remember that? It was like 89.
Yeah, yeah. I
Damn it.
remember two events, and we might be talking about the same one. I haven't
Okay.
really looked into it in some time, but there was something that, at least for me, it was touted as a triple homicide, 168th, kind of right around the corner from 17th. I'm not sure the
Okay.
particulars as far as like who came there, but there were multiple people that died at that house. And then the second instance was they were the high schoolers, I believe, that were egging cars or houses, and
Yes.
somebody got in a car and followed them and took them out there at 20th and 68th.
That was right before our sophomore year, I believe. That happened. That last one, that egging incident where, so I mean, it's kind of crazy. That's what I mean. It's like, hey, one podcast isn't going to change the narrative, but like, man, we had some great people. And so, like, I'm thankful for every person that comes on this podcast. I thank you, Karl, for taking time out and joining me today to have a little conversation. And like, and it's like, man, I invite people I've never talked to. I haven't talked to Karl in 20 plus years. So, like, I love that this podcast forces me to do things like I would never just go out of my way and like message people on Facebook. This podcast has made like basically made me reconnect with everybody on Facebook and just be on Facebook more because I used to not. So, man, it's just like one of those things that's kind of crazy. So, but before we dock the ships, I just have a few more questions here. You mentioned that you had kids. Can you just name their ages and then like maybe something like if you, how is your parenting now that you're a parent different from when your parents parented you? Do you have similar styles, different?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm sure there's some consistencies there. So yeah, I've got four children, ranging all the way from just a 4 year old boy, my first son, all the way up to 6 years old, 11 years old, and the child that most of the people on the podcast might be aware of, because we had her in at the end of high school. Erin, she's 26 years old. She's married, and it's made me a grandfather almost twice now. Yeah, she's expecting here
What?
in January. So yeah,
Congratulations, man. Yeah.
lot of love there. I'm blessed. When it comes to parenting style, oh my gosh, I think I'm a pretty close to a 180 from my parents. I had good parents. Love my dad. Love my mom. Rest in peace. She did an amazing job. But they allowed me freedoms that like I couldn't fathom giving our kids. Like I got to go just ride a bike, and I remember riding my bike like 5-10 miles, just exploring different areas, and I just needed to be home at a certain time, and it was all good. And for the most part, we were in pretty good shape. Here, like my wife and I were very much helicopter parents. If our kids go over to somebody's house, like we've probably already had dinner with them before, and like we know what they're all about, and have a good vibe, and they get vetted that way. When it comes to walking around the neighborhood, riding bikes around the neighborhood, we just do that as a family. I mean, we try to live in a decent neighborhood, but, you know, crazy things happen anywhere. So we're a lot more guarded when it comes to that. I think, in regards to like education, doing homework, staying on top of that, there's a lot of similarities between what my mom and dad did for me versus what I do for my kids, and what my wife and I try to do here. So, it all really depends. I think we've lost a little respect for humanity. I guess that's the punchline of that story. But, we just try to do the best we can with what we've got. And, thankfully, we've been able to put together a good life.
I think part of that is just, the amount of information. We know how, now with the internet, we know how evil people can be, because there's all these crazy evil stories out there of what have been done to, like, throughout the multitudes of history, is like all this stuff like hits us right away. So yeah, of course we're going to be scared, because I think back then, not having that much information into like what could possibly, because a lot of these are like outlier cases that are happening, but now the fact that everybody knows the most worst cases of everything, of course, like I understand 1,000% how you can feel the way you want to protect your kids. So nah, man, I get it. So okay,
Yeah.
so round.
Go ahead, please.
No, go. No, you're good.
It was just in my line of work with the things that we see. Like I've had coworkers as well as myself that actually we probably take extra steps that most people wouldn't take just to protect our family, just because of some of the negative things that we do see. And we just have to remind ourselves that for every bad case that we see, there's literally thousands of other very good cases.
Exactly. And so, okay, you kind of hit on it already, and we kind of talked about it already, but I like to, I always ask this as one of the last questions, but like when somebody brings up Spanaway or talk, and you hear about the term of the town, Spanaway, like what comes to mind in your, when you hear that?
Well, I mean, there's so much here. I think for me, since I've been involved with Spanaway for some time, it just comes up to it feeling like home. I think of Spanaway Lake, Spanaway Park, the Enchanted Island, doing fantasy lights. There's so much good that is out here, and I'm just thankful to be a part of it.
Dope. And then lastly, if you could have a conversation with yourself, you can go back to high school, if you can go back to 1998 specifically, and have a conversation with yourself, what would that conversation look like?
See, I know you asked this to everybody, so I've had some time to preload for it.
Good.
I think where I ended up landing is I probably was doing myself a disservice just living in the world in the moment that I was in. I feel like if I could talk to 17, 18-year-old Karl, I'd tell him, hey, this is good. You've got a great situation going on here around you, for the most part, I guess. But you really, really, really need to look outside of the walls here of Spanaway. Until I started doing that in life, I was struggling. And as soon as I started looking at like other ways of accomplishing certain goals, doing different things, even networking, it really didn't start popping off for me. What's that?
What do you mean you were struggling?
Well, while I had good support at home and at school, I really didn't know what I needed to do in life. I literally was, I was a new father, and that was hard. I had no idea how to navigate that, and that was not a cool situation. I wanted to get educated. I knew that I needed to go to a community school, community college. The simple act of applying to that was very difficult for me. So, and then putting myself financially in position to be able to go to that school. I really didn't have clarity on like who I wanted to be ultimately and what I wanted to do until 9/11 happened. And, thank God, for that actually gave me clarity to to understand how I could use like my, you don't make a mistake unless you make a mistake at 110% or whatever Coach Roback would say, to allow us to basically go full force into whatever we're doing, pour ourselves into that, and be able to use our hands while still providing compassion to people. I knew that I always wanted to help people, and I knew that I wanted to work with my hands. I just didn't know how to apply it. When 9/11 happened, those towers came down, and I saw those firefighters working selflessly.
Where were you at?
Ryan and I were living in Kenmore. That was actually, do we have the time? That was a crazy story.
To you, I got all day. It's like I try to be a little bit more organized, but man, this is like this is gold. Like what you're hitting on. So that's why it's like, of course we got time. It's up to you. Like
Yeah, I got up the time for you, brother.
I was gonna say, I'm sure the kids might be running through any time, so I don't want to, take their dad away too long. But no, man, I love it. No, go ahead. Yeah. So you were in
now we got a peaceful house right now. So yeah, 9/11, and keep in mind this came like 7 months.
Real quick, what years did you live in? It's so funny how like you don't know where people are at, because I used to love going to Kenmore. I used to go to Kenmore a lot in 99 and 2000. A little bit less in 2001, just because I used to play poker all the time at Kenmore Lanes, because it was like one of the only places you can gamble, and you only had to be 18. So you could go in there and play, like, it wasn't no limit. It was like 2-4 Hold'em, but 3-6. And I never bowled. Maybe I bowled there once, but I used to go there and like play poker like a lot. There was times I drove from Tacoma just to go to Kenmore, just because it's kind of,
Hi.
yeah. So
yeah.
So like, what year did you live there? That's so funny, because you were right there basically, and like,
yeah, we were right there across Bothell River Highway, and basically at the same time, like 1999 through 2001, 2002.
Wow. See, I didn't even
we found
realize you guys were there.
Yep. It was a house that was offset from where his dad was living, and it was just a small, like 1,100 square foot house, 2 bedrooms, 2 baths, and we were there. So the day that 9/11 happened, Ryan was working at, I think, Tolly's or Starbucks at the time, some coffee place, and I was sleeping because everything started popping off like right around 6 a.m. for us. The phone was ringing, and we had a landline, of course. The phone kept ringing, and I was like, "What the hell is going on?" So I stumble on over, I pick up the phone, and it's Ryan. He's like, "Karl, we're under attack. They got the White House. They got the Pentagon. Buildings are coming down in New York. Watch out. Turn on the TV." I was like, "Oh my gosh, what are you talking about?" I turn on the TV, and yeah, sure enough. Yeah, there's one of the towers that was smoldering.
Yeah.
And I think he was still on the phone, and I actually saw the second plane hit. And I remember that just being surreal. Like everything shut down for that day. His work let out early. I was working at a party store at the time. Like they called and told us that, we're not coming into work. And, our buddy Chris, the one that you saw in the picture there, all 3 of us went out on Lake Washington. We didn't have anything better to do at that point. And as soon as things kind of simmered down and we started getting some clarity, we went out on Lake Washington, because what else was there to do at the time? And I remember it being like surreal. There were no planes flying overhead. The interactions with people in the months following, like us as Americans, were so good to each other. We don't see that anymore. We didn't see it beforehand. But there was actually a, right, wrong, or indifferent at the time, there was a common enemy and a common camaraderie that was palpable.
I was in Vegas the weekend after that happened. I was in Vegas, and like it's so funny how it's weird how you say how like there's like this common camaraderie. Like, yeah, man, everywhere we went, it was dead everywhere because so many people canceled their flights into Vegas because it was literally the weekend after that. And but there was this weird sort of like, no, it's hard to explain. Kind of like, hey, like kind of like how you said, everybody was just really nice to each other. It was such a weird like thing. And and so you said that it changed that moment. So now that's that day. How did that change your trajectory? Because you're saying that moment changed your trajectory.
Absolutely, it did. Yeah, I mean, at the time, like I said, I was struggling. Thankfully, it wasn't as bad as other people might have struggled. But I was still a young father, and I was trying to find my way. Chip joked around about how many jobs that he had. Him and I had a little competition to see like who had the most jobs. I think we were hovering right around in the 30s or 40s. Like
Wow.
it was consistent. Like him and I were working like anywhere between 1 and 3 jobs at any given time. Just
Wow.
to reach our goals. He's working in IT now, and I'm in the fire service, and um, it obviously wasn't happening for me, and that gave me some clarity. It's like, well, I see these firefighters here. They are working hard with their hands. They're showing compassion. They're showing courage. I was like, I think that's something I can do. I wonder what it's like to be a firefighter. And I started doing ride-alongs and started getting education, and I just ran with that. And I've been in the fire service ever since. It took me a while to
Wow.
get on as a firefighter. It was
Yeah.
bananas competitive. Like you would have
Yeah.
people applying to Seattle Fire like 5 to 8,000 for like 12 to 30 positions. So it
Wow.
got crazy. So I was happy when I finally got the call to come on, but that gave me clarity, something that I could take from
Where did
football.
you where did you eventually get on at, by the way?
I eventually got on with Hoquiam Fire Department down in Grays Harbor.
Nice.
Yeah, and
Nice. Yep. Yep.
we wanted to do some other things with our family that we just couldn't do down in that area, considering like
Yep.
our support system, and so moving back out here to South Hill, Puyallup, Spanaway area. Ended up being the answer for us. And I work as a fire marshal, and it's
Sweet.
been an amazing experience for me. But 9/11, and I don't know, you sit in on enough oral board panels, people interviewing to be firefighters. That's not an
Tough.
uncommon route to becoming a firefighter. Now, the further we get away from 9/11, you hear that story less, but there were a lot of people that decided that day or close to that day that they wanted to serve as a firefighter. So I was thankful to be one of them.
I mean, that was 24 years ago. So that's why it's like,
Don't
it
remind me.
affects. Yeah, I know. So, well, man, that's amazing, man. I love that. It's like, I love hearing these in-depth stories of like, I would have never known that. I didn't realize that's why you became that. And so, man, I am so thankful for you to share like, man, these amazing, like solid, like stories and tidbits of like your experiences. And I think a lot of people can, man, get some good stuff from this. And so, any last shout outs to anybody or anything that you want to mention before we?
No, I just want to show appreciation to you, brother. If you didn't have this podcast and you didn't put it out there, I don't know if I would have focused so much on growing up in Spanaway, high school, middle school, and all that, and everything that kind of came afterwards. We have a tendency to kind of get wrapped up in our day to day life, and we kind of forget where we came from, and who meant a lot to us back when we were growing up. So thank you for giving that back to me.
Problem, not a problem, man. And man, I think I am just so thankful, like to all of my guests that have ever come on, and to my future guests that I hope you will come on if you are having any doubts about coming on, man. Because this show is basically about the guests. I'm in every episode yapping away, sometimes interrupting my guests, and but I am thankful for you guys listening and just listening to us just kind of talk about our old Spanaway days. And I hope that you guys keep on listening, and we'll catch you guys all in the next one.
Right on. Stay safe, everyone.